Do you have PCOS, and not only do you want to get pregnant, but do you also want to feel healthy? If that's you, then welcome to the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Potter, an integrative PCOS fertility specialist, and I'm here to share with you the tools that you need to help your body get prepped for baby. Let's go. Did you know that a headache in the afternoon can actually be telling you things about your fertility? Yes, it's true. And that's why I love that you are here today, because you are going to learn about these other signs and symptoms that might seem completely unrelated to fertility, but actually do give you signs about PCOS and fertility. I know that you are committed to your health, that you are an action taker, and you don't take no for an answer. Yes, you have been trying to get pregnant for the past few years, but you know that there are answers out there to help your body get to a place where your PCOS symptoms are turned around and your body is prepped for baby. So welcome. Welcome if you are a longtime listener. I am thrilled to have you here on this episode. And welcome to you if you are a new listener. I am overjoyed to welcome you here today. Before we get started talking about these other signs and symptoms that could point you to PCOS, I want to share some words that someone wrote about her time working with me. And she writes, "I entered a fertility center thinking I'd get the compassion, support, and guidance that I needed, but was sadly left to my own doctor just as before. I couldn't do it on my own anymore, and that's when I found Dr. Potter. For once, I was met with compassion and authenticity, which is apparently hard to come by in the medical field. Her compassion and the connection with the other women in my group alone was helpful to me in not feeling so alone. I learned more about what it means to have PCOS and how and what can be treated. It felt refreshing to be working with someone who knew what PCOS actually is. I'm still on the journey, but thankful to have had Dr. Potter be a part of it." Thank you so much for sharing those words. So let's talk about these other signs other than irregular periods that can point to PCOS. And in the last episode, you learned about things like acne, hair growth that you don't want, maybe on your chin or your back, your hair on your head falling out. All of these signs that show your PCOS and about your fertility. And I'm here to show you this bigger picture of what is happening in your body that is creating irregular cycles, that is keeping you from getting pregnant, so that then you can turn that around to get your body prepped for baby. And if you want a plan that is specific to your body's needs to walk you forward to get your body prepped for baby, I'm your doctor. And your first step is to sign up for a free PCOS fertility breakthrough session, which you can do over at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. So headaches in the afternoon and PCOS, how are those connected? Do you also get a little shaky if you go too long without eating? Do you get hangry? If your husband were talking to me right now, would he be like, "Oh yeah, yep, she gets hangry"? Do you feel a little lightheaded between meals? Do you get sugar cravings right after eating? Guess what? If you answered yes to any one of those questions, that points in the PCOS direction. And if nobody has talked to you about that symptom before, that is an important missing link to get figured out for your specific fertility journey. But what do all of those signs have in common? Feeling hangry, shaky between meals, craving sugar, having headaches. All of those are common signs of having irregular blood sugar. Those are all signs of potentially insulin resistance, but at the very least, just having blood sugar that's rising too high and falling too low. Now, here's the thing. Those are all happening on the outside. Those are all those symptoms that you're noticing, that you're annoyed by, that your husband is like, "Oh my gosh, why are you so irritable right now?" So those are all outside things happening. But what are those happening inside? Well, when you're feeling like this on the outside, what's happening inside is that your blood sugar is off, which means your insulin is rising. And then when you have this extra insulin running around the body, what does it want to do? Well, what it's doing is saying, oh, I know, my pal testosterone. I want to go grab my pal testosterone and let's bring up a lot of testosterone. And so when your insulin is elevated, testosterone rises too. You're getting all these symptoms on the outside, that irritability, hangry, headaches. And on the inside, that insulin is bringing along extra testosterone, which is shutting down your ovulation, which is leading to your irregular cycles, which is keeping you stuck and not being able to get pregnant. Do you see how that is all connected? And how that's really surprising to think, well, yeah, I do get afternoon headaches, or I always get a headache when I come home from work when I'm making dinner. How that is actually showing you signs about your fertility, about what's happening inside your body, and giving you a sign about what needs to happen. How to then set up a plan that gets you to a place where you're not having those headaches, where your blood sugar is actually balanced, right? That's where I come in. That's where I help you. Here's a story for you is I'm thinking of one person in particular who had been working with two different doctors for 2 years. She was working with her primary care doctor and a fertility specialist. For 2 years, she was working with these doctors. They knew she had PCOS. She was getting support with her PCOS. 2 years into her journey, she was talking with somebody else who said, hey, have they helped you with your blood sugar yet? And she's like, my blood sugar? Why would they talk to me about that? What is that? Or why would that be important for my fertility? And the person she was talking to said, well, I've heard it's connected with PCOS. You might just want to ask about it. So she goes in and talks to one of those other doctors and they test her blood sugar and her levels are through the roof. They were incredibly elevated. And here she is 2 years into working with two different doctors, neither of whom had talked to her about her blood sugar. And 2 years into this journey, she's finding out that she has elevated blood sugar, and knowing that that blood sugar is shutting down her ovulation. And so she's left being like, well, what have I been doing for these past 2 years? If we've been doing all these medications and procedures and no one's talked to me about my blood sugar. So that's when she started working with me, because she's like, I just need actual answers. I need to know what are all these different areas that could be impacting my fertility that no one's talking to me about yet. So you don't want to be in that place where you've been working on your fertility for 2 years, working with doctors who aren't even able to identify your elevated blood sugar levels. That is the importance of working with a PCOS specialist. And if you find yourself on that path where you're working with doctors who can't give you these answers, I am here for you and I can help you. It's so important to know that these other signs that you might seem like they're completely unrelated to fertility, how they're actually very key pieces in your fertility journey, sharing with you what's happening inside your body for your PCOS and what's keeping you stuck. So you learned today yet another sign that might not seem connected with PCOS and fertility, but actually is. And that is having too big of blood sugar swings, leading to elevated insulin. And these common symptoms like headaches in the afternoons, feeling shaky or irritable in between meals, those are all pointing towards blood sugar issues, which inside the body are actually creating fertility struggles. And you learned about insulin and how it impacts your ovulation. It is possible to get regular periods and to ovulate on your own when you have PCOS. I see this all the time in my practice, and women with PCOS are getting pregnant every single day. And you could very well be next. Hold on to that as you go forward today. If you want to support this podcast, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or simply share this episode with your friends. And as a reminder, the information on this podcast is just that. It's information, and it should not replace the medical advice that you are currently getting from your doctor. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you right back here next Wednesday.